Let's talk about cropping. Cropping is taking a portion of the image as your desired output. We're going to do it first in nodes. So if you come to your prearranged node layout, if you haven't done that, then what you need to do is change your 3D view to a node editor and click on the little face there and use nodes. And that will put in these two nodes, your render layer and your composite. What we're going to do is we're going to X out the render layer and instead put in an image input node. And now if you would, please click the Load New and go into your blend directory and your textures and your images and the super high def Antigua picture. Select it and that brings it into this node. I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see the format settings, and I'm going to change this to PC so it's 640 by 480. Now notice this is a super high definition picture, is 2000 pixels wide. So watch what happens now when we thread it to our viewer. But when we do a render, we don't get the whole picture. We only get this little pylon in the middle, and we're not getting this whole thing. So where did this come from? And the answer is that in the nodes editor, the nodes take the middle. Blender starts in the middle of the picture and goes however format picture your settings are. In this case it goes 320 pixels to the left and 320 to the right of center, and 240 up and 240 down, and takes that middle portion. So essentially it's cropping out this middle portion of the image as your resulting output. Now this is not the way the sequencer works. If we come up here and change to layout number 4, which is your sequence editor, and add an image and navigate into our blend text image super high def Antigua super high def image and add that as a strip, Blender will automatically scale the entire image down from the super high def, which is 2000 by 1500, and will scale it down automatically for you down to 640 by 480. So now if we do sequence and do a render, we have an entire image. So the nodes work a little differently from the video sequence editor. In order to make them behave the same, we have the scale node. So if we click our Antigua image input node, add a distort node that is called scale, because all of the distort nodes distort the image in some way, and thread it as our output. And it acts as either a relative, as a percentage basis, or an absolute basis. We're going to click absolute here, and we're going to say, go ahead, I know my output is 640 by 480. So go ahead, and as soon as I clicked absolute, it actually knew what I wanted and went ahead and filled in 640 by 480 for me. And so now when I do composite, I get the entire image scaled down to fit within my 640 by 480. So everything's been condensed down. So that's how you make the composite output work the same as the sequence output. Sequencer automatically scales because it is used to working with your entire strip, so it's going to help you work with your entire video strip no matter what input resolution you have. It's going to go ahead and convert it for you. Nodes gives you extra control and allows you to do exactly what you want. I mentioned earlier that on my output for a composite, when I render, it's going to take this middle part of the image and make your 640 by 480 using the native resolution of the input image. Well, what if I didn't want that middle portion? What if I wanted a portion maybe off to the left or off to the right or above or below the center? What do? Well, the answer is that you have to translate or shift this image left or right so that the resulting 640 by 480 comes out in the composite output. And the way we do that is we use the Translate node. A Translate node is also in the Distort group, and as you can probably tell, we're starting you out with the Distort group nodes. And by default, the Translate node does not do anything. So let's say we put in number like 300 for the X. What's going to happen now is this Translate node is going to take this picture and it's going to shift it over 300 pixels. And so what we are looking at is the middle offset by 300 pixels. And if I went like 600 pixels over, now I'm starting to get this hump here. If I wanted to shift the picture, my magical viewer, over to the right, I put a negative number in there. And now I'm shifted over and I'm taking this area over here. And in fact, if we do our test render, we can see we're starting to find a little harbor here. So by shifting the image 600 pixels negative, which is to the left, it means that this part of the picture is now in the middle, and then Blender picks up that new middle of the picture, if you will, and puts it out to the Translate. So negative shifts the image, or shifts your perspective to the right. It actually is shifting the image to the left, and vice versa. Positive images shift it the other way. The Y shifts the image up. So if we shifted it up, we're going to expect to get a little more water, which we do. And if we shift it down, we're going to get a lot more sky. So now I think you can see that you can combine these two babies and feed the output of the Translate to the scale, and then feed that to the image output. And now you can see what's happened is it's taken this whole image, it's shifted it the way we had just left it, but now it's going to scale this whole thing down, the resulting down, to 640 by 480, and the entire image, when it's offset and shifted down, actually is off the page. This checkered background shows you that you've exceeded the limits of the image and you're now off in dead space. So in order to fix that, we can undo the absolute, and let's say we wanted to zoom in on that little harbor scene, and just the harbor, and kind of shift it up, crop out a lot of this water, and really get to just the little harbor scene. And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit so you can kind of get a little better picture. And again, there's no blurring. We actually haven't blown up past the resolution of the original image, so there is no pixelation that's going to happen at this point. Now we have a nice little scene, but let's say we want to zoom in a little more on that. So we can make it a little wider, make it a little crunched. And now when we render, we have a nice little scene of the island and the little harbor and the beautiful sky. So we do not have to necessarily scale the same amount in both directions, in which case this is called also a linear distortion. We're now stretching the image out a little bit more this way in the X direction than we are in the Y direction. So we're emphasizing and making the landscape look longer. If this was an image of a female and she wanted to look thinner on camera, we would just do this, and that taken off about 10% of her body weight and made her look a little thinner on camera. So using the Translate and then the Scale nodes, we can crop any part of any image that we want using the nodes, and then feed this on even later on. The next video will show you how to animate all of this so that you can actually pan through images.